The trial. That's where we want to start. Let's go. January 7th, 9:48. District Court Defendant Lobby number 1. Oh, I see. I guess I should have expected this. Nobody saw the other guy, huh? But he was there when I took the coffee over, sir. Scout's honor. Maggie! Detective Gumshoe! Are you doing all right? How you feeling? As if you need to ask either question, sir. Don't let him get you down, Maggie. And don't forget to eat well, okay? Roger. And you! Yeah? You'd better square this case away. Got it, pal? Maggie's innocent, you hear? If you screw up, then I'll be doing some squaring away myself. Squaring away some paperwork for your arrest. I think he's serious. Hey, detective, you're on our side for once, right? Yep. So you'll be able to help Maggie out, right? Really? Can you, sir? Of course. I got the situation under control. I'm gonna be the first witness on the stand today. If something I say doesn't mess with the facts, make sure you point it out, alright? Sure. Okay, we're forming a united front today, pal. You get me? I can't tell you how grateful I am, sir. I've always admired you so much, detective. I know I can count on you. Looks like it should all go pretty smoothly today, huh? I can only wish.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Bitter. Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor? What's wrong?
Nothing. It's just whenever I addressed you in the previous trial, your response was, "Yours talking to me?" It was a little, well, intimidating.
No, that wasn't me. That was the phony Phoenix.
I see. So our trusty Phoenix Wright is back with us now, is he?
Our trustee?
So, Mr. Godot, your opening statement, please.
Mr. Trite, whether you're a fake or the real deal, we'll find out soon enough through this trial today.
But I can already tell you, I'm the real Phoenix Wright.
I wasn't questioning whether you are Phoenix Wright or not. I was questioning whether you had studied law or not. That's what I intend to find out.
There's no denying it. Behind that mask is a man who really hates me for some reason or another.
As everyone is aware, the court has already given its verdict on this case once. Therefore, I won't stand for irrelevant testimony during this retrial. Nor will I stand for a simple repetition of evidence presented in the last trial.
I'm not planning on repeating anything that phony me said. Trust me.
Now then, Mr. Godot, please summon your first witness.
Let's start with the formalities, shall we? Name and occupation?
Witness, state your name for the court.
Sorry, sir. The name's Police Department Detective. Occupation, Dick Gumshoe.
Other way around, detective.
Huh? Sorry. Anyway, I'm the officer in charge of this case since yesterday, sir.
Since yesterday?
Yeah, the guy who was on the initial investigation tied up with another case now. Oh, Gumshoe's really got everything under control. For everyone's sake.
I see. So, Detective Gumshoe, would you outline for the court the basic facts of this case?
Yes, sir. The victim's name was Glenn Elg. He was a professional programmer. He was on the payroll of Blue Screens Inc., a local company. This is the victim's autopsy report.
The court accepts this into evidence.
It's a big thing to get. And here are the floor plans at a restaurant. When the incident took place, the victim was sitting right here. The poisoned coffee was brought over to him by the, waitress.
The waitress being the accused?
Yeah. The victim died from poisoning almost immediately after he took a sip of the coffee. At that time of the incident, there were 2 other people in the restaurant. Mr. Gian Armstrong, the owner and chef, and a regular by the name of Mr. Victor Godot.
It still seems to be a very straightforward case to me.
Not quite.
Come, detective. Take up this hammer and nail the defendant's coffin shut with your own 2 hands.
Now then, Detective Gumshoe, let's have your testimony.
Yes, sir. When the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table, sir. We understand that the guy, Glenn Elg, was listening to the radio at the time. Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup. And what we found was potassium cyanide. That stuff really packs a punch. And, looks like Miss Bird might have had, well, some kind of motive.
Using the dark, aromatic depths of coffee to conceal the poison. Classy lady.
The facts of this case seem to be ironclad. Mr. Wright, I would ask you to begin your cross-examination, but...
Yes?
Please, no intimidation tricks this time around. Is that understood?
I already told you that wasn't me! When the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table, sir. I want to check out the autopsy report. Potassium cyanide poisoning, time of death was between 1:30 and 2:30, okay? Cool. Can I stop you for just a minute? Huh? What is it? Did I say something that contradicts the evidence? He's so desperate for that to be true, he's practically crying. Your testimony just now didn't match the testimony given by Miss Bird. She claims that there was another man at the victim's table. Yeah, that's what she said. And
What killer wouldn't say that when faced with the homicide of a conviction? Or with a homicide conviction?
hey!
Sadly, her testimony isn't supported by the owner or the other customers. Isn't that right, Detective Gumshoe?
Yeah, it's true. Their 2 testimonies tie up on that. They both said there was no other guy at the table. What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or no? Yeah. Well, maybe the other witnesses just missed him. Perhaps their view of the victim's table was obscured in some way.
Ha! That argument is as weak as the coffee at Trebiang, Trite. I have here in my possession a ticket.
A ticket? Looks more like a photo to me.
Yeah, a one-way ticket to a Guiltyville. Population? The defendant. This is a photograph taken from the entrance to the kitchen. This is the scene as witnessed by the chef moments after the poisoning took place, correct? I think the court will agree that with such a clear view of the scene of the crime. How, Mr. Trite, could anyone have overlooked a second person at the table? Ugh!
It certainly seems to show the victim's table extremely clearly.
I wish they didn't have that evidence. I'm looking for anything suspicious, man. Alright, we understand that the guy, Glenn Elg, was listening to the radio at the time. He was listening to his radio, you say? Yeah, he had a portable radio in his chest pocket. Maggie told us that too, didn't she? Something about how one of them had some sort of earpiece? What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Might as well. And what was it that the victim was listening to on the radio, Detective Gumshoe? Huh? How should I know? Thanks a lot. We're now one step closer to the middle of nowhere. This isn't going very well, is it?
Detective, could you perhaps tell us about the poison and how it was used?
Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup. So traces of poison were found in the coffee cup and nowhere else. Not sure I get you, pal. Was the poison a liquid or was it a powder? If I had to put it in layman's terms, I'd say it was a powdery substance. So the poison could have been in anything that was on the table. Sugar, salt, pepper.
Ha! Do you put salt and pepper in your coffee, trite?
The victim took his coffee black with no sugar.
It seems that the poison could only have been in the coffee.
What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Yeah, we never got the poison vial or the suspicious vial back from Homie, from Gumshoe. Press harder. Are you absolutely certain the victim even drank any of his coffee? Huh? What do you mean? According to this vial, the poison was found in the victim's coffee cup. But what proof is there that the victim ever drank any of it? Oh, hey, you're right. That's what I was thinking.
In case you were wondering, that last objection was for the detective there.
Huh? For me?
Oh, hey, you're right. You may be fooling the court, but I'm not falling for it. If you have time to waste, you have time to present that piece of evidence.
That piece, sir?
Yes, that piece.
What piece was it again?
This!
Should I be grateful this coffee's only hot enough to give me first-degree burns? Oh, now I remember. This is, the victim's coffee cup.
Yeah, the victim's coffee cup. Take a good look at the rim.
Oh yes, it's unmistakable. There is clearly a coffee stain on it.
Conclusive proof that the victim did drink the poisoned coffee that was in this cup. The victim gulped down the bitter death that the waitress brought to him. Like this!
For the record, the only prints on the cup were the victim's and the defendant's. Coffee cup added to the court record. Upon further investigation of this cup, we found a certain chemical substance. And what we found was potassium cyanide. That stuff packs a real punch. Potassium cyanide? I've heard of that chemical before. Exactly how strong is this poison, Detective Gumshoe? It's, well, that stuff's lethal. Eat too much and you're history. How much is too much?
A lethal dose is 0.2 grams. That's about enough to finish anyone off.
0.2 grams? How much is that? You know when you swab your ears for earwax? Yeah, about that much. Earwax, huh? Sounds like something Gumshoe's got an abundance of.
Wow, such a small quantity of poison could have been concealed anywhere.
And, it looks like, Miss Bird might have had, well, you know, some kind of motive. Some kind of motive? Yeah, but if you ask me, it's been blown way out of proportion.
You know what my golden rule is, detective? Chuck out a bad cup of coffee. You can always get another.
Huh? I don't get it.
I'm saying we can always get another witness on the stand if we have to chuck you out. So stick to the facts, detective. Now then, what was Miss Bird's motive?
Come on, Gumshoe. She was... They say she wanted to steal a lottery ticket. I knew it. That's what we heard yesterday, too. It disappeared from the scene of the crime.
And it wasn't just any lottery ticket. It was a winning ticket for $500,000!
Mr. Armstrong knew about the ticket too, didn't he? But he stole the wrong one. Then it is possible Maggie stole the winning one? What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Yeah. Wait a minute. The mere fact that the lottery ticket disappeared in no way implicates my client.
Ha! I have here in my hand the very ticket in question.
That's the $500,000 lottery ticket?
One of the female police officers found it when she was conducting a search of the defendant.
What? Nani?
Order! Order! Ha! She's quite a lucky bird, our little waitress.
You will submit that ticket as evidence to the court immediately.
I'd better keep an eye on that ticket, the way the judge's voice is quivering.
The ticket was presented to the court in the previous trial too, but it feels heavier now somehow. $500,000, you say?
It's just a scrap of paper. What matters is where it was found, Your Honor.
I bet he wants to say it was found on Maggie Bird's person.
That's enough. The facts of this case seem overwhelmingly clear to me. The defendant had ample opportunity to commit the crime of which she is charged. Furthermore, it seems beyond reasonable doubt that she did indeed commit this crime.
I like an old man who knows the score.
There's also the matter of this $500,000 lottery ticket. That alone provides a very credible motive. I mean, for that sum of money, even I might be tempted to bend the rules.
I don't mind an old man who's weak to the siren call of money.
Not good, Nick. The evidence against Maggie is starting to pile up fast. Yeah, that's because the court has already ruled guilty once.
I'd say it's about time to wrap this performance up with one final decisive piece of evidence.
He's got more evidence against Maggie?
This is the apron that the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time.
Wow, that's not the cleanest apron I've ever seen. That stain looks like it can't be blood, can it?
It seems the star of our play was a little flustered and somehow spilled coffee on herself.
The coffee? That's not exactly the first thing that caught my eye.
Of course, the coffee stain isn't the most interesting thing about this apron. Nah, there's something else that stands out even more.
Something else? I presume you mean...
Of course, I'm referring to the pocket.
The pocket?
A search carried out right after the incident uncovered this. Potassium cyanide. The very poison used by the killer was in her apron pocket.
A bottle of poison in Maggie's pocket? Yeah. And Maggie's prints were the only ones on it. What? I wish I had all of this evidence available to me before I agreed to this case.
Order, order, order! The court will accept these items into evidence.
Jesus, man. We've gotten 7 pieces of evidence in like 6 minutes.
There's something still bothering me. Mr. Godot, why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be?
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over this apron.
That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain.
You don't need to be told. Just look at it.
Well, detective, could this stain really be blood?
No way, sir. It's just ketchup, sir. Ketchup? She must have gotten some on her apron while taking someone to breakfast that day.
You could have spoken up a little sooner, Detective Gumshoe.
Pull a stunt like that again and I'll have you drink 17 cups of ketchup, witness.
Ugh. I thought everyone knew what it was already.
I haven't seen anything yet to make me doubt the verdict I ruled on in this case. The motive, the opportunity, and the supporting evidence. They have all been clearly established.
Well, Trite, it seems you really are a phony after all.
You really know how to drive a man nuts.
Witness, please continue with your testimony. Describe for the court the crime scene and the findings of your investigation there.
The crime scene was reported at 2:25 by a kinda scary old man, sir. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. The victim didn't have any identification on him, but we figured out who he was pretty quickly, and then the investigation went smoothly. When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and a bottle of poison. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene.
You identified the victim and secured your prime suspect. Very good.
Last chance to convince the court you're the real lawyer, Trite. Don't count on any more cross-examinations after this one, so let the fun begin.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a scary old man, sir. Scary old man, Detective Gumshoe? There's an old man who's a regular at the restaurant where the incident happened. Ah, we're obviously talking about the same old man. Officers were dispatched right after the report came in, but the old guy still made a fuss. What took you so long? Then he hurled abuse at them and seeds.
And seeds?
It was nothing. I caught each one with my teeth.
I guess not even the mighty Godot can avoid being attacked by that guy.
The old man was the only other customer in that place at the time. He took his time finding a payphone apparently, so he was late reporting the crime.
Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. The victim didn't have any identification on him, but we figured out who he was pretty quick. And then the rest of the investigation went smoothly. Hold on, I didn't press any of this. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. Interesting, maybe she could have been framed while she was passed out. How long was the defendant unconscious for? The officers got to the crime scene around 2:40. Maggie was still out cold in the kitchen at that time. It took another 10 minutes or so before she came to. I would have liked to have been on the scene myself. I bet you would have liked to have carried out the search too. I would have loved to see Maggie asleep like that, all pretty and peaceful. You're a professional detective, Gumshoe, not a professional bird watcher.
Save the romantics for your own time, Detective. All we need to know about is the investigation.
Oops. I guess I'm pretty red right now, aren't I? The victim didn't have any identification on him. Then how did you identify him? You didn't have any. Are you saying it was stolen then? No, I don't think so. The victim didn't have a driver's license or even a credit card on him, pal. All he had was 58 cents in his wallet. 58 cents? Yeah, I can't believe I found someone with less in their wallet than me, pal.
The victim sounds like he was a thoroughly miserable young man.
Or some kind of outlaw. Why not give him a bit of an edge?
I think I'm onto something here. Yeah, that's suspicious. A coffee cost $8 there. He didn't even have enough money to pay for it. Wait a second. Huh? Did I say something dumb again? Let me paraphrase what you just testified to this court. The victim didn't have any form of ID on him. That's what you basically just said, right? Yeah, basically. In that case, how are you able to identify the victim so quickly? Oh. That. He's so let down. He's got the whole sagging shoulders and puppy eyes thing going. There was a prescription bag on the victim's table along with the lottery ticket.
It seems like Mr. Glenn Elg visited the doctor before he went to Trebier.
We got the victim's name from the medical records of the doc who prescribed the meds.
That's a reliable enough source for the court.
What should I do? Should I leave this alone or ask to hear more? What sort of medicine was in the bag? Well, actually, the bag we found was empty. Huh? Yeah, completely empty. It was completely empty? excuse me, I don't know why I'm so yawny right now. The victim got this from the doctor before going to Tribune. The bag is empty. What's it a prescription for? I want to know that.
Ha! You're entering an empty paper bag as evidence? Desperate, are you, Trite? Now, what happened with the investigation after that, Detective?
I want to press this again and ask about the medicine. Come on. Oh, never mind. When Maggie was searched, we found a lottery ticket and a bottle of poison. But the defendant had been passed out for a while, correct? In that case, isn't it possible that someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? Hey, yeah! You nailed it, pal! It happens to me all the time. We had a department party the other day, and when I got home, I was wearing the boss's shoes.
Keep up this crazy testimony, Detective, and those shoes will end up down your throat.
Sorry, pal.
So, Trite, someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? That's a pretty bold statement. You're gonna back it up with some evidence?
Well, I'd love to if I had any.
It appears you have no evidence to support your theory, Mr. Wright. Continue with your testimony, witness.
And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. Well, other than the prescription, if he went to the doctor right before going to Tribune, the prescription is missing, right? That's the only thing. Let's press first. So, the $500,000 lottery ticket and the bottle of poison were accounted for. Yeah, interesting. It's true that those two items are accounted for, but wasn't there another lottery ticket that was stolen that day? Oh, yeah. The one that the restaurant owner took. He won a whole dollar with it. What a lucky guy, huh? And they're just going to let him get away with that?
It was just $1, Detective.
I guess no one cares when it's that little, unless it's Gumshoe. If I don't find a hole in this testimony, the judge is going to hand down his verdict. Gumshoe isn't giving us anything to work with, and we can't find any contradictions if he doesn't give us something. Yeah, that's true, but Maggie and Gumshoe are like Dumb and Dumber. Our only hope is that they were so dumb they missed something obvious. Come on, Gumshoe, be the dumbest you've ever been. Aww. I think I'm gonna present the empty bag. Bag is empty. Nothing else missing from the crime scene. Objection! Detective Gumshoe, I think I should point out something to you. There's just one small contradiction in your testimony. Oh? Finally! I'm getting all anxious just waiting, so hurry up with it. You testified that nothing else was missing from the crime scene. However, the prescription bag you mentioned was empty. Did the officers remove the medicine from the scene of the crime later? No, they didn't. The victim was given a prescription right before going to Tribune. Where then did this medication disappear to? You are too cool, pal!
Indeed. Due consideration wasn't given to the victim's prescription in the previous trial. Witness, why do you always overlook such vital pieces of evidence?
I guess that's the most careless thing I've done so far, huh? The victim was killed by poison, and the victim's medicine mysteriously disappeared. The victim's own prescription could have been the lethal poison itself.
Order. Order. Well, Mr. Godot, what do you have to say about that?
Ha! That's all.
What?
Read for the court the name of the clinic on the prescription bag, if you will.
Is it gonna be the Hottie Clinic? What's the clinic name got to do with anything? New Ear Otolaryngological Clinic? Otolaryngological?
Just what kind of illness was the victim suffering from, Mr. Godot?
Hardly an illness, Your Honor. More like a bitter war wound, you could say.
A war wound?
The day before the incident, Mr. Elk found himself in a fight. He took a blow to the side of the head and ruptured his eardrum.
He ruptured his eardrum?
Then what on earth was the prescription he was given?
It was a cream that was applied topically inside his ear canal, not to be ingested.
What?
It's mentioned in the autopsy report. If you read the fine print, they found traces of the medication in the victim's left ear.
Yeah, here it is, in very, very fine print.
It seems Mr. Elk correctly applied some of his medication while he was at Trebier. Therefore, it would be absurd to believe that he would have eaten his medication.
It seems that the medication is irrelevant to the case after all.
No! Nick, if you don't think of something quick, it'll all be over. She's right. But I can't get away with any old weak objection. What should I do? I gotta push it. Only moments ago, Mr. Godot made the following statement. It seems like Mr. Elg correctly applied some of his medication while he was at Trebier. If that's the case, then why was the medication not found at the scene of the crime?
But the medication in question was for topical use inside the ear canal.
That doesn't change the fact that it could not be found at the crime scene. However insignificant it may seem, if it's a lawyer's duty to pursue the truth.
You know as well as I do that the medication is irrelevant. It hardly seems likely that a prescription drug would contain potassium cyanide.
It hardly seems likely that the coffee the waitress served would contain it either, but it did! The possibility is undeniable!
That's enough. Mr. Godot, is the detective the only witness the prosecution wishes to call? Mr. Godot?
I got my own witness I'd like to call, sir. It's the old man who was there in the restaurant on the day of the murder. Victor Kudo, the pigeon hater?
Very well. The matter of the disappearing medication seems to be a little more than trivial at best. However, it wasn't explored at all in the previous trial, and that is something that bothers me.
Yes, good job, Nick.
The court will adjourn for a 10-minute recess, after which we will hear the prosecution's next witness.
I suppose this means I'll just have to finish you off in my last 6 cups.
Court is adjourned for recess.
January 7th, 11:03 a.m. Defendant lobby numero uno. Woo, that was close. Tell me about it. I nearly died in there. That's my line, sir. No, it's my line. I think I really did die a little bit. It's like we all nearly died in there. I can't believe Detective Gumshoe, though. How can he betray us like that? Huh? He said he'd help me, but he totally set me up. I don't think he meant to do that, Maggie. He was backed into a corner. I mean, the guy's gotta do his job, right? It's okay. I know all about lies and betrayal. I've had them my whole life. But it really hurts this time. Felt like someone punched me hard in the stomach. I hate that guy. I don't ever want to see him again. Poor Gumshoe. So the next witness is going to be that old guy from the park, right? Yeah, Mr. Kudo, lover of waitress outfits and projectile seeds. I bet he's going to be real stubborn. I mean, he's pretty set in his ways, you know. Yeah, but he's a big old grouch. Are you going to be able to handle him, Nick? Yeah, I can take whatever he throws at me. Even those never-ending bird seeds. January 7th, 11:15 a.m. District Courtroom number 4.
Court will now reconvene for the trial of Maggie Bird. Mr. Godot, your next witness, please.
The prosecution calls the lucky old-timer who caught the show over a cup of coffee. Will the witness please take the stand? name and occupation, if you don't mind.
The name's Victor Kudo, born and bred in the land of the rising sun. Honor and duty are what make me. Mind you, I can be quite emotional at times, too.
We don't need to hear about that, Mr. Kudo. Just tell the court your occupation.
My occupation? Keh. Listen, youngin', how much call do you think there is for kimono embroidery here?
Kimono embroidery?
That's what I do, or did back in Japan. I embroidered family crests on kimonos. My ancestors were embroidering kimonos before this country even existed.
Wow, a real craftsman. They're a dying breed. Hey, maybe you can embroider my costume sometime.
Anyway, like I said, there's not much demand for that kind of thing here, so I had to take a job working the cash register at a burger joint, pretending to smile.
That burger joint would have been better off putting him in the kitchen.
Now then, witness, were you in the restaurant at the time of the incident?
Oh, yes. I was eating some seeds over a cup of Javachino.
Seeds?
What do you think these are,
I see.
So you saw everything that happened, Gramps?
Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I did. I saw it all.
Then please, tell the court we're all ears.
Sure. I'll tell you. I'll tell you every last detail.
He's really getting into this. What I witnessed.
The young man was reading the sports paper. The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. The man took one sip of it and looked like he was in terrible pain, and then he collapsed. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
Mr. Kudo, she is not a serving girl. Please refer to her as a waitress.
Gah, you're as bad as the rest of them. All these newfangled words. What's wrong with the old-fashioned ones?
Newfangled?
All this talk of radios and glasses, it's wireless and spectacles, I tell you.
Excuse me?
Listen to me, everyone. Don't forget the old values. Don't let the good old days slip away.
Well, I think it's time to begin our cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. What I witnessed. Okay. The young man was reading the sports paper. So you saw the victim then? You saw Mr. Glenelg?
I wanted to know if Guts and Brawl retained his championship or not.
So he was looking at the sports paper the victim was reading, huh? And the location in question. There are partitions between the tables on the same side of the restaurant, right?
So what if there are?
You say that you could see the victim, and that means you were sitting at a table on the other side of the restaurant, correct?
Gah! I go to that place to drink Javachino. I don't go to sit. I don't remember what table I was sitting at.
You mean you go there to eye the waitresses?
The serving girl brought a Javachino, but she put something in it.
Mr. Kudo, that is a very grave accusation. Are you sure about what you saw?
Victor Kudo never makes mistakes. I dot every T and cross every I.
I see.
My eyesight's fine. The doctor said I only need spectacles for reading and driving.
I bet his eyes are only really fine when he's scoping out a waitress.
And I saw what the serving girl put into the Javachino as well.
I bet I know what's coming up, and something tells me I'm not gonna like it. It'd be dangerous to press this too much. I'd better ignore it for now. So what happened next?
The man took one sip of it and looked like he was in terrible pain, and then he collapsed.
He took just one sip.
You youngins, you waste everything. Those Javachinos cost $8. In the good old days, we would have drank every last drop, eaten the cup, and then died.
Congratulations. You've earned the title of baddiest man to ever grace a courtroom.
So it was an immediate death. Well, with potassium cyanide, I suppose that is possible.
Oh yeah, he slumped over without so much as a twitch. I felt the Javachino I just drank turn sour in my stomach.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
And the waitress, I presume she is...
That's the servant girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
You said, I remember her well, in reference to the waitress? Did she have any particular features you can identify her by?
Particular features? It's a disgrace, that's what it is.
Sorry?
You can see all the way up her... Well, you know. She's practically naked in that uniform.
So the particular feature you recognize about the waitress is her outfit? But anyone could wear just such a uniform, even me.
Mr. Wright, please spare the court of any further mental anguish from that image.
Don't get all excited, Nick. You gotta keep yourself together. I guess I got a bit carried away.
Yeah, there are other things I recognize about her, too.
He seems pretty sure of himself. What should I do? Press harder. Sure, you saw a waitress take the coffee over to the victim. But what matters is whether the waitress was Maggie Bird or not.
Quite right. Mr. Kudo, these other features that you recognize the defendant by, I would ask you add them to your testimony.
Sure. There was a ribbon in her hair, and her apron straps were loose.
You do seem to remember several details about her appearance, but what about the most crucial detail of all? Her face.
Ha! As if I would remember that.
The waitress noticed the straps on... the witness noticed the straps on the accused's apron. He's unlikely to make a mistake about her face.
That's right! I can even tell the color of the ribbon in her hair. It was red.
So you see, there's nothing wrong with the witness's eyesight.
There's no doubt he remembers the waitress pretty well. What should I do? I get the feeling that there's something more to this somehow. The ribbon is red. He's not wrong. The straps seem kinda pointless. Let's ask about the back. The identifying features. You described everything that you would see from the back.
So what?
Is it possible that you never saw the waitress from the front at all?
He's got you there, Gramps.
People normally talk about facial features when they're asked to describe someone. But this witness's testimony is nothing but straps and ribbons.
This is harassment! I tell you, I'm not obsessed with straps or ribbons. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Mr. Kudo, the court requests that you add details about any identifying features. Features you observed from the front, that is, to your testimony.
Sure.
This old man's testimony is getting longer and longer, and if I can't find a hole in it soon, it'll get even longer, I bet.
There wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front.
Let's try pressing again, I guess. You didn't find anything to be distinct, but you did clearly see the witness's face, yes?
No question about it. I didn't come this far to back down now. Victor Kudo never backs down.
That's not the answer I was looking for, but okay. This has turned into a matter of pride for old CD now, I guess. I wonder if he really did see Maggie's face or not. Like I thought, we need some concrete proof of this. Proof that the old guy didn't see the waitress clearly from the front. You think old CD really saw Maggie do it? Well, he probably had his eye on the waitress the whole time. That's why he was there. But he was there for the cute outfits, right? Not for the waitresses. I guess. She makes a good point. Hey, did I just say something clever? I wonder if the waitress Mr. Kudo saw really was Maggie. That means we have to figure that out, Nick. Okay. Wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front. I guess if there was coffee and ketchup on the apron, he could identify through that. Feels like a bit of a stretch. But it's the only thing I have that's related to the front of the waitress, so let's try it. Mr. Kudo, I would like you to please take a look at this.
Gah, that filthy thing would suit filth like you just perfectly. Actually, it reminds me of what my grandson looks like, just after he's done eating.
You ever seen this before?
Of course I haven't! Do you think I'd forget something as dirty as that? Do you, you half-witted clot? What? What is it? Ever since I said you half-witted clot, there's been an eerie silence in here.
Mr. Kudo, this apron is the apron worn by the defendant on the day of the poisoning. And as you just said yourself, you wouldn't forget something like that, which means if you had really seen this apron before, yeah, you know what I'm getting at. You couldn't have possibly seen the waitress from the front. Oops.
Witness. You can't just oops your way out of this.
Well. Looks like we finally have a genuine trial on our hands. Listen, Trite, here are the facts. On the day of the incident, there was only one waitress in the restaurant.
That being the defendant, Miss Maggie Bird.
Exactly. And when that one waitress put the poison into the coffee cup, this old guy was watching.
I hope you understand the gravity of the situation, Mr. Kudo. The fate of the defendant may rest on what you remember seeing.
Just tell the court exactly what you saw, Gramps.
You can rely on me, Captain. My noggin's in perfect working condition. I can't remember a single occasion where I forgot what a burger a customer wanted.
He can't remember? Probably more like he messed up so many times he's blocking it out.
Very well, let's test just how good your memory and attention to detail is, Mr. Kudo. Tell us what you remember about the victim.
About the victim.
He was another one of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles. He had a newspaper in his right hand, and the nosy brat kept rustling its pages. The young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well. Then the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino. The little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip.
The testimony we have just heard was to test how credible the witness's memory is. It seems to me that he remembers the victim in a great deal of detail.
Oh yeah, I hate those you-know-what types who are so vague about everything.
How are we gonna handle this, Nick? We only need to do one thing. We just need to prove that the old man's memory is shot. Just trip him up, you mean? Isn't that kind of cruel? I suppose, but it's what I do best. Okay, about the victim.
He was another one of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles.
Okay, I want to investigate my evidence. We're looking for some sort of contradiction in his very accurate statements here. Broken pair of spectacles obviously refers to his scouter that he's got. Newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy brat kept rustling its pages. I don't think I have anything that can dispute that. The crime photo, newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy brat kept rustling his pages.
The young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well.
That we have no dispute about. That's been brought up many a times. I don't have the radio in question, do I? Nope.
Then the servant girl in question brought over the Javachino.
Okay, there's nothing I can dispute there.
The little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and it took a sip.
The whole point of this cross-examination is to establish just one thing. That this old guy's memory has more holes than a slice of Swiss. I guess we just need to find a contradiction in his testimony somewhere. Anything will do, even the smallest detail. We just need one mistake and he's ours. Another one of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles. Let's press about that. Spectacles?
Dark glasses to you. One of the lenses was green, but the other was broken. Newfangled rubbish, that's why I remember him so well.
He did have some kind of lens over his left eye, but I wouldn't have called it a pair of glasses.
He seemed to have been wearing some rather modern-looking shades. Perhaps I should take to wearing some and rival Mr. Godot's sharp appearance.
Oh, we better come up with something sharp and quick. Guess I'll wait and see if I should challenge him about the spectacles. Newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy bat kept rustling its pages. The newspaper was a sports paper, was it?
That young hooligan, I nearly asked him, can't you even read without fidgeting, How was I supposed to be able to read the back page with all that rustling going on? I needed to find out if Guts and Brawl retained his championship title.
It was his paper, not yours. If you wanted to know so bad, why don't you buy your own?
What are you looking at me like that for, huh? How dare you judge me?
I don't think we got anything there. Got beaten yesterday, by the way. Anyway. The young man was listening to a wireless. I remember that. The wireless?
The decadent young rascal. In my day, it was one or the other. Read the paper or listen to the wireless.
Oh boy.
And using an earpiece. It's selfish, that's what it is. I was straight in my ears, but I couldn't catch any of it.
Was he that desperate to listen to the radio?
What are you looking at me like that for, huh? Oof, oof.
I got nothing there. The little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip. His free hand?
Yes.
Which hand was that?
Weren't you listening before, cloth ears? I said he was rustling the newspaper with his right hand, didn't I? If his free hand wasn't his right hand, then which hand was it, you moron?
Perhaps the great Mr. Trent has 3 hands.
Yeesh, I was only asking. No need to gang up on me and treat me like a freak. Okay. Let's see. The magazine clipping, December 5th, says I was trounced. Not relevant. The sports paper, I don't think this doodle has any relevance because it doesn't point out any flaws. The job listing, no. The lunch special, no. The contract, no. The scooter, no. The autopsy report, no. The floor plans, no. Maybe. No, I can't do anything with that. The crime photo, it's passed out on the table right there. The coffee cup contained potassium cyanide covered in the victim and Maggie's fingerprints. And it was... Okay. Hold on a second. What else do we have here? The victim's lottery ticket. Not relevant to any of this. The apron. Worn by Maggie at all times at the time of the incident. Small pockets with big stains. Potassium, cyanide, and the prescription bag, which was not mentioned by him at all. This coffee cup is the key. I think I see it. You can see the little coffee stain on the lip, right? If he were to drink the coffee and get the coffee stain there, he would have to be holding it with his right hand. Because the handle is on the right and in the way it's presented to us. With his free hand and took a sip, but if this guy's lying, because if it was his free hand, it would be his left, and the coffee mark would be on the other side. Objection! Mr. Kudo, do you remember what you were told at the start of the testimony? That this was a way of testing the credibility of your memory?
I know there's nothing wrong with my memory, I tell you, nothing! If I got anything wrong, I'll eat the seeds and sing the pigeon song.
Care to tell us where this is going, Trey?
According to Mr. Kudo, the victim was holding the paper with his right hand while drinking coffee with his free hand, which would make that his left.
Yeah, what is this, kindergarten?
But I would like the court to please take a look at this.
That's the cup the victim used, correct?
Yeah, and on the rim, you'll notice the mark left by the victim's lips.
Yes, there's a stain left by the coffee.
If you consider where that stain is, you'll clearly see that the victim was holding the cup in his right hand.
But how?
Well, Mr. Kudo, the court is waiting for your epic performance. You said you'd eat those seeds and sing the pigeon song.
Ah!
Mr. Kudo, I'm afraid this is simply not acceptable. I think the witness had better go back to the part where he came.
Wait! If you think I'm gonna stand here and listen to you tell me I'm mad, you're wrong. I don't care about the dirty coffee cup. I know what I saw.
You still insist on your testimony?
That young brat was holding the cup in his left hand. Oh yeah, no question. I'm a good law-abiding citizen, I am. It's that dead young hotbot and you spiky-haired yahoo who are at fault.
Who, me?
Thank you, old man. We've heard quite enough from you already.
Don't call me old man, old man. I've been around for 68 years, I have. You can't ignore me. Listen to what I've got to say.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo, but
Sure, why not hear a little more?
Mr. Godot!
But this is my 16th cup of coffee, so this is your final stand.
Thank you, Captain. You can rely on Victor. The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. He kept fiddling with it all the time. He was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup, too. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand.
Well, we know that the victim was wearing an unusual monocle over his left eye.
It wasn't a monocle, Your Honor. It was a small computer monitor used by programmers.
A monitor? You mean like a television screen?
The inside of the lens is a screen that displays computer data, called an HMD, a common tool in the victim's line of work.
HD, TV, DVD, CD. Gah! All of these newfangled letters drive me mad. But they don't matter. I know what I saw and I'm telling the truth.
It's true, he doesn't seem to be lying.
And those are the facts in good old black and white.
Wearing the earpiece. Okay. So the victim was wearing an HMD?
HD, TV, blah-blah-blah-blah-blah. What does it matter?
It was none of them actually, but anyway. And you're sure that he was wearing the earpiece on the same side?
No question, I could only see that side of his head from where I was sitting.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious if you look at the floor plans. From the opposite table, he'd have a view of the side of the victim's head. Excuse me. Hold on, I want to check something. Does it show left eardrum was ruptured? Why would he have the radio in his left ear if his left eardrum was ruptured? I've been thinking about that for a while. Let's press a little bit more first. It seems you kept an eye on Mr. Glenn Elk.
He was getting on my nerves, rustling that newspaper and fiddling with his earpiece all the time. And then he went and made all that fuss just from one sip of Javachino? I wanted to say to him, calm down, you young brat. Just looking at it made me suddenly speed up my seed eating. I could have choked.
So I take it the victim was a walking ball of nervous energy. The earpiece you mentioned, which hand did the victim touch it with?
The You're one of those people. One of those people who uses his left hand to get things out of his right pocket, or fastens his left cuff with his right hand, and when the tour guide says on your right side, you'll see the famous blah 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 blah, you're the only one who deliberately looks left. Well, aren't you?
No, I didn't mean...
Obviously, he used the hand on the same side of the body that the earpiece was in.
Ugh. So if he had the HMD in his left side, then it was his left hand, I guess. Alright. I gotta try this. I'm not sure what the relevance of this is, but Mr. Kudo, there's something very strange about your observations of the victim.
What?
You say he was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the HMD.
No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. I could only see the side of his head from where I was sitting.
I don't think so.
What did you say?
You're no doubt unaware of this fact, Mr. Kudo. But the victim couldn't hear with his left ear. His eardrum was ruptured!
Eh?
Traces of medication for his condition were found in his ear canal. That's right. It's impossible that the victim was wearing his earpiece in his left ear because he couldn't even hear in that ear!
Is that true, Captain?
It is.
Pigeon! Eh? Pretty pigeon?
Okay. It's a weird breakdown.
Order.
This witness's testimony is completely unreliable. He only saw the waitress from behind, and he claims the victim was wearing an earpiece when we know his eardrum was ruptured. Well, Mr. Godot?
A single drop of milk is all it takes to destroy the pure black magic in the cup. This old man, he's my drop of milk!
Captain, are you calling me a drip?
This is the victim's coffee cup in which the potassium cyanide was found. The mark on the rim clearly indicates that the victim picked it up with his right hand.
I'll never back down. I know I'm right. The lad drank his Javachino with his left hand.
Let me put you out of your misery. Clearly the victim used both hands. He took a sip with the cup held in his right hand and then switched to his left. That's what the old man saw.
Impossible. The witness has already testified on numerous occasions that the victim died immediately after taking just one sip of the coffee.
Ugh! Which hand the victim used to pick his cup up is irrelevant, Your Honor. The fact still stands! With one hand or the other, Mr. Elk drank the poisoned coffee like this!
Sadly, Mr. Godot, that doesn't wash. The point of this testimony was to establish whether the witness's memory was credible, and the results are clear. The testimony given by this witness is useless!
I believe it is time to conclude today's proceedings. I am satisfied that the witness is not deceiving the court. But to be frank, his testimony is a farce.
Did you have to be so frank? Take that, you pompous old foggy.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo, you can't reach me from there. I'm ordering the defense and prosecution to investigate this case further. That is all for now. This court is adjourned.
Wait! If we stop now, where does that leave me?
Leave you, Mr. Kudo?
Thanks to that blue-suited young upstart over there, I'm just a bumbling old man who can't even dot his T's or cross his I's now.
How is your bad memory my fault?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo, but there's nothing I can do.
I've kept my mouth shut until now, but there's something else the court should know.
What? There's more?
To be perfectly honest, it might not be anything, but I want another chance. I want to crack at you, you young shark.
Me? He's looking at me like I'm some sort of evil shogun.
Well, everyone, what do you say to one final showdown? The final chapter in this eccentric old man's scrapbook.
Sorry, Gramps. I've already had my 17th cup of coffee.
What do you got to lose, Captain? I'll give you all the coffee you want if you come to my house after the trial. I may be 68 years old, but Victor Godot is still a man!
It's enough, witness. I believe it'll be quicker if the court just hears your testimony.
You bet!
Much, much quicker. I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah! You better get ready, youngster!
I get the picture. Quit throwing those seeds, would ya? He's gotta be using some sort of infinite ammo code with that box of seeds. Oh, cute.
First of all, I want to stress that this might be nothing. I'm not too sure of myself. The young boy slumped over the table as soon as he took one sip of his Javachino. Well, the clumsy idiot upset the vase. He knocked it right over. It broke and the strip of cloth covering the table got completely soaked. Well, how about that? Turn things upside down, huh?
What? Is that all?
Yeah, that's all. I remember it perfectly. You're doubting me again? You're doubting a poor, defenseless old man?
No. We're not doubting you, Mr. Kudo.
Don't you get the feeling there's a question hanging on everyone's lips, Nick? Yeah, so what? Probably. That's all I could think of. And I have to cross-examine this guy.
You're a bird brain. That's why that's all you can think of.
Very well. Mr. Wright, your final cross-examination, please.
Okay. A vase, you say?
Yes, there are vases on all the tables in that place. There are accidents waiting to happen. They're practically begging to be knocked over.
Well, he's right about there being vases. I do remember seeing them, too. There was a vase on the table when I ate lunch there. And you saw the moment the victim actually knocked over the vase?
Well, it's hard to say. It's a bit unclear. How do you really define?
Okay, I get it.
I heard it break, and the sight of it is burned into my memory as clear as day. It broke, and the strip of cloth covering the table got completely soaked.
Okay, well, let's... Here's what's fishy. The vase is not broken in the photo of the crime scene. A photo taken from near the kitchen. So this had to be taken... This either proves that he's lying, or it proves that the photo was taken at the wrong time. Regardless, this is a contradiction. Mr. Kudo, this is a photograph of the crime scene.
Yeah, so what?
Look carefully at the table. The vase is there, intact.
Huh?
Lost your tongue, Granddad?
I'm no granddad of yours, hopscotch!
Ow!
Enough! If you throw any more seeds in this courtroom, the cleaners will be here all night. What is it now?
I just remembered something.
Yes? Go on.
The broken vase. It was on my table.
What?
Well, you see... It startled me when that young lad collapsed, so I stood up. That must have been when it fell over. The vase on my table, I mean.
The vase on your table?
Yeah, it was on my table, and that's how my groin came to be completely soaked.
Disgusting.
Thank you, Mr. Kudo. You've certainly earned your kudos for today.
I'd like to ask a question now. Have I been any use at all?
Perhaps that's something you should reflect on yourself, Mr. Kudo.
Wait a minute. If that's the case, there's more. I've got more to say. Oh yeah, I remember something else.
Bailiff, escort the witness out of the courtroom.
Wait! Listen to me!
Well, We seem to have been considerably sidetracked, and I am still not in a position to deliver a verdict. The defendant has not been positively identified as the waitress in question. Additionally, there are 2 disparities in the testimonies we have heard thus far.
The mark on the coffee cup that the victim supposedly drank from with his left hand, and the earpiece, which was inserted into his left ear, out of which he couldn't hear. Wow, Nick, you did it!
I therefore require both the defense and the prosecution to further investigate the facts.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's one more thing before I call today's session to an end.
One more thing, Your Honor.
The witness we just heard from. He is most insistent that his testimony should be of use. So he summarized it according to this statement.
Okay.
You may each have a copy of it if you wish.
Whatever. The prosecution doesn't need props like that.
Godot's really mad, huh? Yeah, I would be too.
Very well. Here you are then, Mr. Wright. There are 3 copies, my own, yours, and Mr. Godot's.
Yes, Your Honor. Why are they being so specific about the amount of copies? I'm sorry? This isn't a piece of testimony, it's more like a 5-year-old's apology. When the incident occurred, I broke my when the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. It's the right amount of syllables for a haiku, but it doesn't actually fit a haiku. What the heck are we supposed to do with 3 copies?
That is all. Court is adjourned for the day.
To be continued.